everyone. Welcome back. Okay, so Seek Masterclass number 2, Writing an Impactful Job Application. Who here has applied for a job and not heard back from it? Okay. Who here has applied for a job on Seek and did get a response? Okay, good to know. So we're going to go through a few steps of things to really think about when you are applying for your roles on Seek and how to really make it impactful to an employer, whether it's your resume, your cover letter, as well as your Seek profile. So it's really good to get consistency across all of those different channels. So I'm going to take you through Seek and Grad Connection profiles, so a little bit of a deep dive into the importance of having both to cast a wider net out in market, whether it's entry-level jobs that you're looking for or whether it's internships, graduate opportunities on the Grad Connection side. We're then going to do a deep dive into talent search. Has anyone ever heard of talent search? Okay, so talent search is how you can be seen by employers. So on the employment side of Seek, we've got a tool that employers can log into Seek and they can see all of the candidates in the Seek database. And they can start reaching out to the candidates that they want for the particular roles that they've posted. So it is really crucial that you're following a few tips and tricks on how to be seen by those employers. We'll then go into resumes and cover letters and a few tips around what you should be thinking of there, and tailoring your application to the job ad as well. So to give you a bit of a deep dive into Seek and Grad Connection, now we are connected and we are both here today. Seek has a career advice platform that has got so many tools and insights for you to use as students. There's a whole first job platform on the website where you can actually dive into relatable advice on internships, your first job, what it's like to enter the workforce. You can download resume templates, you can download cover letter templates, and all of this information is complimentary. So Seek is your one-stop shop to find all of the tools and resources for every stage of your student journey, okay? Seek, so Grad Connection Career Advice, they've also got their own platform, but this is really specific for your early planning. So this is whilst you're studying, if you want to get some work experience, internships, network with different employers across your study, and apply for graduate opportunities along the way. So that's where you would go to find all of those opportunities going forward. On there, you can apply to the Top 100 competition that gives you access to the top 100 employers across Australia. You've got the early planning articles, industry guides, all based on internships and graduate opportunities. So firstly, I'm going to take you through the Seek profile. So a few tips and tricks around how to make a quality profile on the platform. So it's really important to be seen by employers. Now, as I said in the last presentation, we've got over 10 million searchable profiles on Seek. So you really want to be making sure that you're standing out to an employer and you're coming up at the top of their list when they're searching for candidates for the roles that they're posting. So to do that, really make sure that you are signed into your account when you're searching for roles, because that way you're actually going to get a lot more roles tailored to you that you can actually apply to, and you can quick apply that way. So that's a quick feature that you can do. Also make sure that you set your profile to standard. Has anybody seen the settings on Seek? Hidden, limited, and standard. Do you know about those? No? Okay, so really, really important that you set yourself to standard, because that way you can be seen by an employer. You will come up in the talent search program for them. If you set yourself to limited or hidden, you're not going to be seen. You're going to be taken off of talent search, which could be useful if you're not looking for a job right now and you just want to apply to jobs rather than be contacted for jobs. But really make sure that you're aware of how your profile looks. You can now share a live link to your Seek profile as well in your resume. So that's a really great way of saving a recruiter or an employer time because they've got lots of resumes to look through. So you want to make sure that everything's efficient for them. You can pop a link in your resume and they can easily click on that link and it will take them directly to your Seek profile with all of that information. You can create a resume from your Seek profile. So this is a really great way of keeping that consistency through your resume, your Seek profile, and making sure that aligns together. So that's a quick way to save you a bit of time there as well. So a few features that is going to help you. But to take you through talent search in a bit of detail, this is what your profile will look like to an employer. So as you can see there's a few candidates on that screen. That is the snapshot that an employer will get of you. So really make sure that your summary has the key things that you'd like to highlight because that's the first thing that the employer is going to read. So think about filling in every section of your profile with quality information. So really put thought into your personal summary. Tell a story. Make it your authentic self coming through. You really want to stand out from the crowd. So you don't want it to be generic. You really want to think about your examples and how those are really personal to you and put that into the summary, and that's going to stand out to an employer. Make sure that you're linking all of your skills in your profile. So have a look on our career advice page. Look for what employers are searching for in a specific role or industry. And if you have that skill, make sure you tag it to your profile. Because the system works off of an AI technology which links all of the keywords within your profile to what an employer will be typing in on talent search. So to make sure that you come up at the top for them, make sure that you're presenting all of those great skills that you do have for that role. Keep yourself up to date. So in talent search, the employer can search for those candidates that have updated in the last 6 months, the last year. They've got a bit of a filter where they can drill down into candidates' updated time. So it is really important that you do log in over the years that you're studying, update your details, and make sure it's all relevant for an employer. That's going to help you stand out and be contacted going forward. Salary. So that can be quite hard to actually understand, what salary do I put in there? I don't want to sell myself too short and put a kind of low salary in there. And I don't want to put a really high salary because I want to be contacted and I don't want to put the employer off. So I would do some research on the platform. I would look at the minimum salaries, I'd look at the high salaries, and just give a bit of a range there of what you're looking for out in market. Look at the graduate salaries as well on Grad Connection, because that will give you an insight so that you could make a judgment. And I'd also recommend to have a look at all of the job ads on Seek for that particular role that you're looking for and see what they're marking those job ads at. So what are the salary bands for that job? So that's going to give you a bit of an idea as to what you can put there. But don't get too hung up on the salary in your profile because it's not going to be the main thing that the employer is going to look for. They know that that's negotiable, and they also know that not everyone puts the correct details in their salary. So don't get too hung up on making sure that's exact. Just put something in there that they can go off of. And then also make sure you have all of those keywords in there. Your resume, your profile, and it's all up to date and fresh for that employer. So a few things to think about there. Also, there's a tool called Certsy that is linked to Seek. And this is a really great way of showcasing your credentials. So you can actually provide that information to an employer to showcase that you do have the right to work in Australia, for example. You've also got driver's license you could pop in there, RSA certificates for hospitality, so you can put all of those credentials in and it's going to make you a lot more hireable for that employer so that they can kind of trust the information that you've put in your profile. So definitely check out Certsy as well to verify all of your credentials that you want to upload. So a bit of a talent search breakdown of what the employer has access to in your profile. So firstly, they can send you a job. So you might have received this before, some of you. It will go into your email and it will be prompting you to apply to that job. So they've checked out your resume, they've checked out your profile, and they thought that you're a good match. So they're prompting you to apply. They can also send you a message. So that will be a tailored message to you as an individual. Should have your name in there, a bit about the role, and they've personalised it to you and kind of wanting you to reach out to them. Viewing the CV. So they can actually download your resume and contact you. So they'll have your details, but they can reach out to you by phone. So really make sure that your resume is updated and attached to your Seek profile with your email, your phone number, so that you can be contacted if you want to by that employer. Salary expectation, they do have access to that as well. Your current role, so to have a Seek profile and to be seen, you do have to have a role in there, but don't worry if you don't have the experience. Think about your study at university, think about extra projects that you've done, any internships, any work experience, any part-time jobs. Have you worked in retail a few nights a week? Anything like that is still really valuable for you to put into your Seek profile to showcase transferable skills for a role. So really make sure that you do have one entry in there that they can go by. Last updated in history, so they can see if they've ever reached out to you before, they can see if you've applied to a job before, and they can see when you last updated your profile. So if it says didn't update for the last 3 years, that's not going to look great for an employer, so they might not spend their money on downloading your CV. So really think about updating your details so that that's all very visible to them. Keyword search, so as I said, AI technology comes into that, so really make sure that you're thinking about the language that you're using in your resume and your Seek profile. Okay, so internships and graduate jobs. Now, I have been told by Grad Connection that the IT grad program is currently open for applications. So if any of you are studying ICT, then make sure you check out those graduate programs and start looking at those opportunities. Being seen with a Grad Connection profile. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do I need another profile out in market? Now, the Grad Connection profile is a little bit different to the Seek profile because the Seek profile is going to open you up to all jobs in the market, entry-level roles, at every stage of your career. The Grad Connection profile is going to open you up to the internships and graduate opportunities at this stage of your career. So it's really important for that early planning to create this and really think about casting that wider net out in market. Not only have you got Seek and all of the employers using that platform, you've also got all of the employers on Grad Connection that are posting graduate opportunities on there. So just like on Seek, you can use the search filters to really dive into the discipline that you're studying, the industries you're studying, and looking at all of those filters. You can follow employers to be notified of when those job opportunities come up so that you're never missing out on an opportunity, and set up those weekly alerts for different roles that you might want to go after. If you put your discipline date of when you're going to actually graduate, you will be targeted for different roles that match that time frame. So that's going to make it really relevant for you as well. So I'll definitely make sure you're filling in those details on there. You can save jobs, you can see your applied jobs, so it's all in one space to keep it really organised for you. So internships and graduate jobs. So has anyone here done an internship before? Okay, great, some of you. Would you say it was a really great experience? Did you learn a lot? Did you get to network? Yeah, amazing. So it's really, really important to put yourself out there at this point in your study because the real, when you get into the real world, that's going to look amazing on your resume. It's going to look amazing on your Seek profile to have that experience. It's going to give you insight into your ideal job. So you might decide after that internship, wow, I really wanted to do that job for a long time, but now that I've actually got that experience, I don't actually want to go down that route, and it might take you off on a different pathway. So it's really valuable to start kind of helping you decide after your study where you might go and saving you a bit of time there. Contacts and networks. So especially as international students, it's really valuable for you to get out in market, speak to people in different industries, and start gaining those networks so that you're talking to people, you're asking them questions about their industry, their job, what they love, what they don't love, and really being hungry to learn and kind of grow in your career. So when you are doing those internships, think about the questions that you're going to ask. Do a bit of planning beforehand so that you look really enthusiastic about that role. And take people for coffee. People really love talking about themselves when they're in work. So take them for coffee, ask them about how they got into that role, really be enthusiastic about it, and that's going to go a long way with employers. Practical experience as well. So it's going to give you that experience to put onto your resume, to talk to in interviews so that you've got lots of tangible examples to pull out in that interview. 72% of Australian candidates got a paid job offer after doing an internship, either at the same company or at a different one. So as you can see, that's a really high percentage of candidates that got a job off the back of an internship. And people hire people. So that's the main thing to note. Having that kind of emotional intelligence is really going to set you apart. How you get on with people in the workplace and how you're showing that enthusiasm for work is going to really land you a job. So if you do really well in that internship, they're going to remember you for the future, for something that comes up, or if you're lucky, they could even open something for you in that organisation. So opportunities are out there, it's just putting yourself in front of them. So Grad Connection, as you can see, it does tell you when they're open to international students as well. It's marked on the job ad. So make sure you have a look on that platform after today. Resumes and cover letters. So writing your resume. So I've put a few do's and don'ts on here, things to remember when you are crafting your resume. We have some tools on the platform that you can use as well, and you have a resume download that's complimentary so that you can grab this template and start playing around with it. So a few do's. Always check your spelling and grammar. That's really important. Make sure that it reads really well. And there's lots of tools nowadays where you can check that. Get someone to read over it as well. Make sure it all makes sense. Include keywords from job descriptions. That's really crucial because if you're applying to a job and they've got a requirements section with all of the key skills they're looking for and you have those skills, make sure that you're mapping that out in your resume so that you're standing out to that employer. Keep it short and sweet. So don't have loads and loads of pages because employers just aren't going to look at all of those pages of information. Just keep it the most valuable insights into your career history, your personal summary, where you've come from, and have a maximum of 2 pages. At this point in your career journey, I'd have 1 page if you can. Make it really short and sweet of what you've done to date. Links to your work or portfolio. So make sure you've got your Seek profile in there, all your other different databases that you've got in there. Make sure it's really easy for an employer to look at all of those different things that you have online. Part-time jobs, volunteer opportunities, internships. Make sure you're talking to your achievements, not the requirements that you had in that job. So a lot of the time it just lists a few requirements that you had as part of that work experience. If you can start talking about the actual achievements and what you really loved about that role and what success came out of that role, that's going to really stand out to an employer. Also part-time jobs. So they're also really, really valuable to put into your resume. That's going to stand you out as somebody that has worked with people and has those transferable skills. Don'ts. So don't overcrowd it with too many jobs. Keep it really short and sweet. Make sure you've got dot points. That's a really good way of listing instead of bulky paragraphs. Salary expectations, do not mention salary in your resume. Leave that until the interview. Personal details, you don't need any specific details in there on your lives, just keep it very generic in terms of an overview. Dense paragraphs, you don't want any dense paragraphs, keep it to bullet points. No more than 2 pages, unnecessary information, and profile photos. Now, some people quite like profile photos, other people don't, but at Seek, we would suggest not to have any profile photos on your resume. Firstly, you don't want any unconscious bias happening, just want people to look at your resume information. And secondly, if it goes through a computer software with photos on a resume, it could switch around your resume and it'd be hard to read. So just keep that into account as well. Just keep it words on a page. So a few things down the side there are things to remember and how to actually frame that resume. Now with your cover letter, this is your chance to shine. So this is where you need to have all of the main things that you want to talk about within that cover letter. So pick out a few from your resume and then list those as dot points within the cover letter. Again, you don't want to have more than 1 page. Just keep it really short and sweet. A recruiter, an employer is not going to look through lots and lots of wording. So just keep it really short and sweet. Talk to your experience, talk to your skills, and talk to your performance. So how you turned a problem into a solution, and really talk to those achievements. At the top, really show the enthusiasm about the role, that specific role you're going for, and make sure you're tailoring it to the job ad requirements. So think of a few tangible examples of where you've actually showcased some of those requirements and talk to that within your skills section. If you can, find out where you can address that letter to. Does the job listing have a name that you could maybe write in there? That's going to make it very personal, and those things go a long way with employers. You want to be standing out from the crowd and doing things that not everyone is going to do. And then always finish with a sign-off at the end as well. So just a few things in here that you should really be thinking about. Again, spelling and grammar, really important one. Make sure it flows throughout that cover letter. Tailoring your application. So, when you're on Seek, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this, you're browsing on the platform and there's so many jobs that are coming up for you in that list. And it's a really long list and you're going through the pages and you're trying to think of a role there that really suits you as an individual. So a good way to think about these job ads when you're coming across them on Seek and when you're using those strategies to find the right roles for you, ask yourself these 4 questions. So firstly, what is the role? The job title and its alignment to your career objectives. Is that job going to be something that's going to make you really happy in your career journey? Is it something you've always wanted to go for after university? Or is it something you've just been really interested in and you've kind of read through the requirements and you think, that really matches me and the skills that I have? So really think about the job titles there. Where is the role? Now, this is a really important one because in theory, you might think, great role, I'm going to go for this one, I'm going to apply to that role. But if it's miles and miles away and you've got to get there Monday to Friday, is that going to be practical? Is it going to be sustainable over your career? So really think about where that's located and if you can get there every day. What's the transport like? Do a bit of research. Is it work from home completely? Is it a complete remote job? And does that feed into your the way that you like to work? Or is it hybrid and you get to go to the office a few days a week and work from home a few days a week? And does that work for you and your schedule? So really think about the work type. What's in it for me? So specific benefits and the salary. Sometimes you can read between the lines within the job ad to kind of understand what salary, if it's not actually written on there. Other times they actually put the salary range. So have a little look at some of our salary guides to help you there as well. Also specific benefits. So if the salary is a little bit lower than what you expected, do they have really great benefits and is it a really good organisation that's going to help you in your career journey? Maybe that could be something that overrides the salary in that context. So really think about what else they offer at that organisation. And then what will I do? So key role responsibilities, really important one. Go to the role responsibilities, start reading through and matching your skills and your interests to what is written there. And that's going to help you to map out your application to make it really relevant to everything you've achieved that relates to those requirements. So a few things to think about there when you're looking through those job ads. Tailoring your application with the STAR framework. Now, some of you might have heard of the STAR framework before, but this is a really great framework for you to remember, not only for your resumes and cover letters, but also for your interviews, when you're going for interviews. Think about the situation. So what situation were you in? So thinking about examples of work that you've done. Task, challenges that you had to overcome. So what was the challenge presented to you? Whether it was a project at university or a part-time job, maybe you were a leader of a team. What was the challenge? Action, so the actions you took to overcome it. Did you use your initiative? Did you bring someone else in to help you with certain aspects of the project to meet the deadline? What did you do to showcase that success? And then the result, what was the actual measurable success from that? So this framework is really going to help you turn a problem into a solution and what you actually achieved throughout the task that you had. So always remember the STAR framework when you are explaining in your cover letters and resumes. And then no experience, no problem. So think about highlighting your great attitude. So if you don't have a lot of tangible experience to go off of, think about how people hire people. What are those transferable skills that you might have that you can start listing and putting into the resume? Call out those transferable skills. Put that into the section in your cover letter to start highlighting why you would be right for that role and why those skills align to the job. You can connect with the recruiter or hiring manager. There's lots of ways of doing that now. You can find out a little bit more about the role. You can introduce yourself. That goes a long way. And always have an elevator pitch and, most importantly, be yourself. It's really important to bring your authentic self to an interview and to your writing, so in person and on paper. And here I've just listed a few skills to think about in terms of what you might have now that are transferable across all different industries that you are going to be applying to, and how you can start talking to things like leadership, goal setting, data entry, any kind of administration that you've had, taking and giving instructions, technology or software that you've acquired, and forward thinking. Now, those are human skills. So those are things that you've probably got over your university studies or in previous part-time jobs or internships. So really think about mapping out those skills and how they apply. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this session today. Again, it would be really helpful if you could scan the QR code. If you've got any feedback, any questions on anything to do with job applications, we would love to hear from you. Thank you. And any questions? Thank you. I think we're going to break for about 5 minutes until the last session, which will be on interviews. Hello.
About the recommendation to keep it short, the resume. I had some interviews and some recruiters say, okay, you put a company and experience that you had in the past, but I don't know the company. I don't know what the company do and the size of the company.
Yeah.
Then they say, put more details. Then I say, okay, what I need to do? Keep it short or more details? Because they say, put examples, put data, put numbers. Then I am between that, and I don't know how to balance.
So is that an application that you've applied to for a particular organisation?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was this, you were reading through the job ad and this information was in there?
No, I already sent the resume. They called me. I had some interviews.
Yeah.
But when they give me some feedback, they say, when I read your CV, there is no enough data.
Right, okay. And what organisation, what kind of industry did you...
IT.
IT, okay. So what I would do is really think about the skills that you've got in that field and how that actually links to the job that you were going for, because that would be really great for them to see, and it comes down to your cover letter. So you could start to map out those skills and experiences that you've had that really align to that specific role that you're going for. And that way, you're actually linking that together. So have a look at the job ad requirements and start taking those and writing response within your cover letter to how you've shown proof of kind of doing that in the past. And that's going to really help you in the future. So the next interview that you go for, you'll have all of that mapped out in a cover letter and a resume already.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Hello.
Hi. What would your advice be to somebody who is who's pursuing a master's, but as a way of transitioning from a particular industry to another industry? So it's
Great question. Yeah, so you're kind of changing career paths. So that's a really great question, because on Seek we do have a whole destination on changing careers. So you've got lots of articles, lots of videos from employers giving you advice on kind of what that's like and what they would suggest. And I would definitely have a look at that, and I can show you outside after these sessions today. I'll give you a bit of a demo of what that looks like and the information that you can grab on there. So changing careers, we've got you covered on career advice. All good? Any more questions? Yeah?
Morning, everybody. Actually, in my country, I have a good background,
Yeah.
but it's not. I'm commercial engineer in my country, but all my life work in IT support. Even we create a system software for inventory, for management. But here, when I applied for SIG in SIG, the people told me about the skills about my career, not about my experience background. In your experience, it's possible can get a job, for example, in a project manager, even if I haven't a bachelor degree in project manager. In your experience, can be possible?
So that's a great question, kind of understanding, is it kind of changing the career path from what you've done previously? Yeah. So what I would think about is looking into where you want to change, what pathway you want to go down.
Okay.
Have a look on the role insights on career advice, because you can actually select that job and it will give you the skills that they're looking for, and it will help you to understand maybe you'd need to do a bit of a short course or do a little bit of upskilling in that area to change into that route. Sometimes you don't actually need any new qualifications, so you can just have transferable skills that have served you right in that IT space that actually align to where you're going next. So it's a way of kind of framing the interview and the experiences that you've had that will play into the new role. So you can tailor your resume, tailor your cover letter for that specific job based on those transferable skills that you've got.
Okay, but in this case, it can be possible to get a job in this case?
It's
without
definitely, yeah.
skills in study?
It's definitely possible to go into those different pathways, yeah, for sure. It's putting yourself out there. You might have to do a bit of networking.
Yes.
And kind of, it's not going to land there for you. So it's putting yourself out there, saying yes to opportunities, talking with different people and networking. It might be a bit of a process because you are going into a different area. But if you look at all of the insights that we've got on the platform, talk to employers today, find out about that new pathway, that's going to really help you to kind of move and transition.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Okay.
Hello, Hannah.
Hello.
I have one question about recommendation. Would you please maybe explain how is the importance of recommendation, especially for the earlier application or the further steps of the application? The recommendations as we list the recommendation people,
In terms of the application process on
in terms of
Seek?
the application process and where it's really important, where they actually contact the person that will list in there. Thank you.
Great question. So when you apply to a role, you will either quick apply on Seek or you'll be taken through to the organisation's website where you'll apply on there and you'll be asked a few questions on there. You'll then go into an ATS system where they will look through your resume, your profile, all of your details. So that's where you really want to be standing out because they'll have all of those resumes coming in for that particular role. So really make sure that you are putting your best foot forward when it comes to those applications, covering all bases, and also make sure that you're not only just applying to roles, but you're also being targeted in the talent search platform as well, because you can apply and also be kind of messaged, or your CV can be accessed and they'll actually reach out to you. So you want to be kind of covering both. So what I would recommend is with your application, give it a little bit of time because it can take a bit of time for them to go through all of those resumes. So if you haven't heard back within that week, maybe just wait until the next week until you reach out again and kind of ask a bit of a status on the application and where it's sitting at that time.
Yeah, thank you. But my question is actually, if we put recommendations, like the list of people who they will contact, like our previous employer maybe, and then
Our
when
references?
References, sorry.
References.
Yeah. References, yeah, people. Sorry, yeah, thank you.
No, that's okay. So references, that's a really great question because it can sometimes be a bit confusing as to kind of who you ask for references and where you put them. So on a resume and when you're kind of applying for jobs, you can just pop on your resume that, you know, references are available upon request. That's a really good kind of statement at the end of the resume. And if that employer would like to contact somebody, then they can after that within the interview process. Just have maybe 2 or 3 people in mind, maybe from your home country or people that you're working with across Australia as references. So kind of line those up beforehand so that you're aware, so that the employer is aware that that's who they're going to be. But you don't have to kind of put any references in there when you're actually applying for the job. It's just if you're contacted and they ask for those references. So don't get too hung up on that. Just have a bit of an idea. Great. Yeah.
I have a question about putting our previous experience in the resume. So I'm pretty sure that some of our international students, they might have like some experience back home from home country, right? For
Yeah.
example, working for 5 years, 7 years. But when it's come to getting the local experience, we might like open to like more entry level kind of job. So I'm not sure that should we put the experience back home in the resume when we apply to this kind of job, because they might consider that we might overqualify or something to do that job. So I'm not sure that where should we keep the balance about
To
it.
be overqualified for the
Yeah.
role that you're going for, yeah. So I would just keep it really brief. If it doesn't really relate to the role that you're going for in that resume, I would keep that type of experience brief, still put it in there, but kind of dwell on the transferable skills that's going to help you in the role that you are going for, because that way they can see how that relates and that aligns. And it all comes down to your summary and how you're actually framing, you know, what you're enthusiastic about now, what you're going for now, and what your passions are now. So your cover letter, when you're writing that's going to kind of be the main thing for the specific role that you're going for. So make sure that that is well crafted in terms of the role rather than all of the amazing experience that you've got before, okay? So think more transferable skills if it's completely a different direction for what you're going for and what the experience you've had before.
Hi.
One other thing I'd just suggest as well, have maybe 2 resumes, so one for the experience you've got back home and that kind of job pathway, one resume for the roles that you want in the meantime. And that way you can kind of pick and choose, and then you've got 2 that you can use there.
Hello, I'm at the back.
Hello.
So pretty much with like prominent use in AI technology, like ChatGPT, so forth, what is like your perspective of like us using that as like a tool to build your resume and cover letters? And then how would like employers like filter those out, like those responses out pretty much?
Great question, and that is a big hot topic at the moment, ChatGPT. I use it myself, it's great. ChatGPT, I would say it's so valuable, especially for international students as well. If you find kind of writing in English quite hard, use ChatGPT to give you a bit of an idea of how you can frame and structure sentences within your resume or your summary, but don't rely on it too much. You want your authentic self to come through. And the thing about ChatGPT, it's a great tool, but it's not going to actually do all of that work for you. So you want to make sure your personality is actually coming through. So use it as a bit of a guide. It gives you a good structure, and then you can start switching things out, get somebody to read over it, make sure that it's you coming through within that resume and that cover letter. Okay? Amazing.
Thanks so much, everyone. Can we give a big round of applause for Hannah?
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Did you all learn something? You all got new skills? So for those of you who have been, so far you've learned, what's the job market here? You know, how do you get that resume? The next session, Hannah is going to take you through the job interview, and you can understand how to ace your job interview. Now, we're going to give Hannah 5 minutes to breathe, to have a glass of water, and then she'll be back on. So stay seated, hang around in the room. We'll just be about 5 minutes, and then Hannah will be up here with how to ace your job interview. Thanks again.